right, let's go down. You go for it when you're ready.
Okay. So, folks, I always do a little countdown, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is number 7. And let me tell you, we consider it a gift from heaven. Okay? So, folks, I'm going to turn you over to Andrew, who turn you back to me, and then we turn you on to somebody special. So, let's go, Andrew.
A lovely good afternoon to everybody, wherever you are in Trinidad and Tobago, wherever you are in the world. Today is Saturday, the 6th of June, and we are on for webinar number 7, Positive Moments with Andrew and Don. I'm so happy and actually honored to have every single one of you in here today. I look forward to spending this moment with you all and bringing a lovely, lovely lady to our platform to tell a very powerful story. Because all we're trying to do here is create positive moments and uplift lives and just give, nothing but love. And where we need more faith and hope, we're here to give that too. So I'm so thankful to Republic Bank for allowing us to have this platform, because without Republic, this won't be possible. And Don and I would like to let you all know that don't expect this to end after this. We're going to have more of this coming in the future, because we realize the power that this has had for not only us two, but for all our audience. So Don, over to you.
Okay, so again, welcome. This is Positive Moments with Andrew and Don. This is webinar number 7, in the first instance, 7 out of 16, sponsored by Republic Bank. Glad to have you all in. I trust that you have pen and paper. We just want to say quickly, we had some people who had some birthdays last time. So in case you're celebrating a birthday, happy anniversary. Happy to have you all on. Today is my birthday. I said the same thing yesterday, the day before, because every day I consider it a birthday, you know. But this is webinar number 7. And the topic is Literacy Isn't Me, the Golda Lee Bruce story. And before we actually see Golda Lee, we're going to see her in 2 seconds. Folks, there's something that struck me, that as I mentioned Golda Lee's name to everybody who is on and others who are still coming on, as I mentioned Golda Lee's name, folks, every single person said to me, I like that girl. I like that lady. And Andrew, you know, be inspired by things that are inspirational too, as well. And Andrew, I came up with a little quotation I really want to use to bring Golda Lee in. And Andrew, I feel I want to see her reaction. So we want to see Golda Lee. So let me let you know Golda Lee is here. For those who say, nah, you all brought Kyron Pollard, you all didn't get Golda Lee too. I mean, the next thing you might have is Shaka and Slap. And that's true. But hear me out, okay? Right? But hear me out. Folks, this is a little quotation, and this is my little introduction for Golda Lee. Yeah, I could tell you about, you know, former anchor, CLC3, and all of that. But folks, here this short some words. Hear the words. Let us leave every heart we can impact better because of the contact.
Yes.
Let me say it again. Let us leave every heart we can impact better because of the contact. Folks, amen. That is Golda Lee Bruce. I want us to type some love and send some love, right, out to Golda Lee. She will tell you where she is, right? I mean, right now they probably have 1 million people watching Golda Lee, you know, right? You know, but let me just tell you, it's really a joy to have this lady on. It's such a, Andrew, you can imagine every single person say that y'all have Golda Lee on. That's a wonderful person. So, Andrew, if you have anything to say, I'm just going to get my pen and paper and Golda Lee, welcome to Positive Moments. And let me tell you, that smile, of course, you're in. I think there's she had a second episode one time, Andrew, with that smile. Because that's what Positive Moments does to you. It makes you smile. But welcome, Golda Lee.
Thank you, Don, and thank you, Andrew. Thank you so much for having me. Your enthusiasm is contagious, and I can't help but smile. Thank you so much for that warm welcome. It's awesome to be here with both of you.
Wow, wow.
Well, I would like to say, just you've taken your time out. You know, we were fortunate to see your young one with you, and you have your family there. And right now, the world is in a very unique situation, and taking your time out from whatever you were doing or whatever you could have been doing right now is very, very special to myself and Don, to what we are doing here. Because we've created this platform for some people everyone has a different situation. And what we really want to do with and continue to do with this platform is understand that we as human beings need to live in harmony and bring one another together. If we're able to do more of that, there will be more and more guaranteed success. There will be more and more love. And this is what we've designed here. So I'm so thankful that you have come here to allow us to have your time, have your stories, and God bless you for allowing us to that. So the floor is yours. And
So thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. And, you know, this morning when I was thinking about this interaction with you here today, I don't know how much time I have, but I'm just going to go ahead and speak, right?
You go, man. You go, man.
I was thinking about our interaction today, and I was thinking, you know, about what you both have given to me that you may not know that you gave to me. And I'd like to share a little bit about that if it's okay. So I interacted with Don a couple years ago at a global leadership summit at Hilton Hotel. And Don, I don't know if you remember this, but you sort of pulled me aside and you prayed with me. And many of the things that we talked about in that prayer, many of the things that you mentioned in that prayer, I have seen in my life. And every single time something happens, I actually wrote down what you said in the prayer. When things happen, I remember you. And I'm really grateful that you took that moment for me many years ago. So thank you for that. And Andrew, you don't know what you gave to me and my family, but I'm probably going to surprise you here. We haven't interacted personally on this level before. But I have to tell you that when you made your Olympic debut as a sailor, my family and I, we watched everyone in the Olympics, right? We supported the red, white, and black. But we were particularly interested in your progress. And, you know, like we weren't used to how the sailing was broadcast, right? So we would see tens of sailors, 45, this one going that direction, now going that. And you would literally hear, look him. And then we get quiet again and we say, look. And there you were, you know, fighting up with the currents to represent us. And so I'm going to say thank you, Andrew, for taking us into an arena where we hadn't been before. Thank you for that example. We really appreciate it. And it was something for the youth of Trinidad and Tobago to see. So we're grateful. So I'm going to get into the literacy story because that's what we came to talk about, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Wow. Wait, you weren't always so eloquent? I know you're always that beautiful, but were you always that eloquent? Were you always just like, words just coming to you so easily that, you know what I mean?
Maybe words came to me, but I could not read them off a page as easily, you know? And so I come from a family of very educated people who valued education highly. It was a big mobility factor for us, you know, social mobility factor for us. And so when I came to about age 5 or 6 and I wasn't getting anywhere with reading, it was a little bit of a problem, you know. Questions had begun to be asked about my development and, you know, why I wasn't catching up. Because I mean, in my family, people just read. And I had been read to as a child. My house that I grew up in as a child was filled with books. And I had a wonderful grandmother. She passed away 9 years ago, but she's a huge influence in my life still. And she took matters into the only hands she knew. And she was blind. So she would have me sit at the side of her bed. And with the Bible open, I would read the Psalms, known to me then as Psalms. We would fumble through the Psalms as she corrected me from memory, you know? And so little by little, I began to sort of, to catch up with my peers, but I didn't really read for a long time because I remember sitting with a Robinson Crusoe book and I really couldn't even make it through that book. Even when I did literature for O-levels, I struggled and I didn't read one book cover to cover. Thank God for Cliff Notes, right? And I think because of the rough start, it didn't come to me the way that I would have liked it to. But I found it to be a huge testimony And I was glad that my grandmother was alive to see it, that her investment paid off in the end, in that I ended up reading for a living. And so my grandmother, the whole lesson there is simply that our handicap, or what we think as a disadvantage, or the thorn in our side, so to speak, is the thing that is often used by our Creator to advance us and progress us. And no, there isn't something that I don't read or don't want to read. And it opens worlds to me. Everywhere that I go, I feel as though there is nothing beyond my reach because I have the ability to read. And I've been trying to train myself now in the ripe old age of 35 to read faster so that I could read more, so that I could know more. And the way that we see the world progressing today, there is emotion, there is anger, there is hate, there is also love. But to me, there's a dearth of knowledge. And reading is what fills that gap. And, you know, when I see the protests that are happening, my first instinct, and I believe it should be an instinct for many of us, is to find out more, to know more about it. My people perish for lack of knowledge, and reading is how the knowledge comes to us. So that was just my little story. I am happy to answer any questions. but to me, it's a huge testimony for me. It really is, because I do remember, you know, struggling as a child. I do remember even struggling as a teen and as a young adult. And now this thing is just so fluid. I remember my grandmother, and I think, wow, what a gift has been given to me. Not just the ability to read, because many of us have that, but the ability to question, the ability to think critically, the ability to desire knowledge is huge. And I'm really grateful that my family, especially my grandmother, has passed that along to me.
And let's go back a little bit here. So at what age you identify this? At 6?
Yeah, just about 6. I think I was where a 5-year-old would be is where I was at about 7 or 8.
So at what point would you say that you were comfortable at reading? If at 5 you identified the struggle?
That's the thing. I don't remember a point of being absolutely comfortable. And even into my teen years, I felt as though, and I was ashamed to say it, that I would have to read the same sentence 4 or 5 times in order for it to make sense to me. And even now as an adult, when I read, sometimes I have to read again and again, but now I'm so used to it that I just do it, you know, I make time to do it, and I'm just like going over the same thing. But I don't think there was a point in my childhood when I felt absolutely comfortable. Now, let me say this, Andrew and Don. Speech has always been something that I have had. And I think it's because I grew up with people who spoke a lot about ideas and not very much about other people. Like they always were discussing an idea, sermon at church, something they read in the newspaper. And so I was able to speak. But to be able to translate, to be able to put that into words and take it out of words, was written word, was where the difficulty was for me.
So this period of your life, from whenever it was identified or as far back as you could remember, you relate to this as just one of, if not the hardest struggle in your life, but one of the hardest struggles in your life?
Andrew, you need to get to know me, because there's some other struggles. This to me, I wouldn't say it has been, it was a difficult thing. It was a very, very difficult thing for me. But the reason why I talk about it, or I even share about it, is because it has been one of the greatest testimonies in my life.
Right.
It was one of the greatest teaching moments in my life.
That's what that's what I want to hear. So with that experience, you were now able to challenge anything that the world has brought to you. Am I getting that vibe?
It was definitely one of those things that taught me that, you know, when you encounter a hurdle, that there is a lesson just beyond it.
Yes. Wow.
And there is a testimony beyond it. Yeah.
If I could just interject, you know, Andrew, we've been having some wonderful interaction, and I'm seeing Hannah here. Hannah is a former former student of NAPRI, my scholarship winner actually. I could just tell you that one time. She says, good afternoon, all. Golda, you've been an absolute inspiration to me, along with many other young people. Your story thus far is as motivational as I expected, but also so ironic given the importance of reading to your profession.
Yes.
You know, it's kind of amazing. Who would think that you would end up being where you are now?
But let me talk to Hannah a little bit about that, if it's okay.
Sure, certainly.
The other lesson that came out of that, Don, Hannah, and Andrew, is that in my career as a journalist, when I entered the media, I was not the best reader. I was not the best speaker. I was not the anchor. I was not the senior journalist. But there was another force at work propelling me through. And there is something, you know, when you introduced me, you said, everybody says, I like that girl. I believe that there has been supernatural favor at work, wow. You know, and there are things that we can do, and there are things that we cannot do. And some of those cannot do's were done for me. I have to be absolutely honest about that and recognize it, you know. I also interact with, in my time in media, I interacted with many interns, you know, and many interns would come through the door and they would always want to start a career in media. And some of them would be very, very bright. Others would be very sort of well taken care of, you know, come from good homes and good families and that kind of thing. And the thing that distinguished the outstanding interns from those who were okay was the teachable spirit, whether they were willing to learn and whether they were willing to fail and recover.
Could you, that is so golden what you said there. And I think, I don't want anybody to miss it. Could you repeat that again? Because it's so important that you see, there are things that distinguish us. Yeah, we can all have similar subjects and so.
Yes.
But there's certain things along with God's favor that distinguishes us to actually be the one that gets the job to train us.
And what happens, Don, I'll repeat it, is that a lot of times in our society, especially in the Caribbean and Trinidad and Tobago, we focus on how many passes a person has and what accomplishments they have on paper. And those are very important. And yes, work hard, do well in your subjects, pass your exams, but also work on the things that make a good character. Because without, even though you may accomplish everything to a certain standard, there will come a point of failure. And that's when the sheep are separated from the goats. That's when you see a person, a real person emerge. And many people have done so well throughout their entire lives that they don't know what failure looks like. So when it comes as a surprise and it knocks them over. But if you have teachability, if you learn that you fail, you recover, you learn something, you move on, then that is what makes, for me, the mark of a champion.
Golda, let me share this with you. When you see Andrew doing that, let me just tell you, every program he does it, and that is like, that's gold. That's a gold medal performance right there. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that is fantastic, because it's not what happens, but how we choose to handle what happens will determine what eventually will happen.
Yeah. You know, and how we look at it.
Yeah. And Ronaldo says something.
Yeah, Miss Golda Lee, I admire you a lot. When did you know you wanted to be an anchor? And also, how do you motivate yourself? Also, how do you manage your time at university and social life?
Okay, wow. Okay, that's a lot of questions. So the first question was when I knew I wanted to be an anchor. I did not know that was, how much time we have?
You go ahead.
Okay. So I actually went to university to study international relations because I thought that was what I should be doing. Somehow I had done business studies at school and it made sense, right? And I convinced myself that was what I was supposed to be doing. And when I arrived at UWI Mona, there was no room for me in the international relations faculty anymore. I was accepted kind of late, everything was delayed. And my second choice at that time was the School of Media and Communication. And it was only my second choice because it was also offered in Jamaica. And I thought I could quickly, if things didn't work out, I could pivot back to IR. And so I went into media and communication as a sort of, plan B. And plan B turned out to be plan A. I did television production, and it was a good fit for me. And many years later, when I was working in the newsroom as a rookie journalist, you're going to really like this one. I was working in the newsroom as a rookie, and one of the engineers, he told me, he said, I think you would be really good as an anchor, right? And he said, the consultants from this foreign company are here because it was CNMG at the time, and we were just setting up the plant, right? So there was no satellite on the roof, or there was no transmission, no live transmission. And he said, the consultants are here and they're working on the live transmission every day. And he's like, you know, I think you would be good at this, and I think they're going to want to test that signal at some point. And he said, just make yourself available. And I said, okay, buddy, here's what. First of all, this station has hired about 5 or 6 anchors to do this job. Then there are the producers. Then there are the reporters. And then there's me, a sort of junior reporter in the newsroom. How are they going to miss all of those people and get to me? And then one night, it was the 22nd of April, 2007, the guy ran into the newsroom and he goes, we have a signal. Who's here to test it? And I literally remember the head of news going, oh gosh, so-and-so not here. Oh gosh, so-and-so not here. And then I was like, I hear though. And that was how I did my first on-air thing.
Well, you know, I always say, Golda Lee, if we have to wait to prepare, and when an opportunity comes, to then try to prepare for it is already too late. You have to prepare for the opportunity before the opportunity comes, and when it comes, you're ready for it. And that was your moment. When that guy ran in there, hello, you were running into purpose one time.
Yeah, it really was that kind of situation for me, and it showed me once again that, you know, there is something at work in your life that is beyond you. And I always try to tell young people, when you see doors open in front of you, walk through those doors. It takes effort, and it takes, I mean, I was scared. I was totally scared because I'm like, people are going to think you're crap, you don't have on nice clothes. And here we go, you know. And that was the start of my station, thinking of me as someone who could do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how do you manage to motivate yourself?
How do I manage to motivate myself? My motivation is based in my spirituality, which is simply that I'm a Christian person. I lean on God. Everything I am and everything I will ever be is because of Christ's love in my life. Done.
Done. Question answered. Thank you very much. Wow. I appreciate that. And how do you manage your time, if it's university or social life, or how do you manage your time on the whole?
So time is a hard one for me because I have 2 children. One is 6 and one is 1. And I work a lot now that we're working from home. I have a lot going on, you know, but I'm not very good at the time management yet, but I try. I end up working until late in the night. And sometimes I struggle with that. And I always have some goal or dream that I'm chasing in addition to the things that are in front of me, right? So I'm constantly like, oh God, how am I going to do this? But so far, I've been able to do it by God's grace.
And go ahead, Don.
You know, Golda Lee, you know, just as you're bubbly, right? You're a bubbly person. You might think I am, you might think Andrew. But were you always considered a people person? Because, you know, a lot of people think that people like yourself, and, you know, you just born to do that, and you always have people around you, and you could, woo, I see your face already, and I can't wait for the answer. But Golda Lee, something you had to purposefully do in terms of people, like a genuine love for people. How you deal with people, you look at people.
You know, there are times, like I've probably said twice this week, and I'm just being honest with you guys, I've probably said twice this week, I really don't like people because like somebody upset me, right? And I'm just like, why do I have to go into these new situations and deal with people? People are just, sometimes. But, you know, in my career as a journalist, I had so many opportunities to interact with awesome people. You know, we use the term hero all the time. And I'm telling you that walking around Trinidad and Tobago, just going about their ordinary tasks, are heroes. I remember one day I walked into the newsroom. I walked into the lobby in CNC3. And there was a Rasta man there. He looked like he was just, you know, coming off of the work site, like construction or something. And he stopped by and he saw me. and he recognized me and he said, Miss Golda, I want you to give this to go to Dominica to help the people of Dominica. And it was a black plastic bag with 2 tins of Vienna sausage and a tin of peas. And that man walked from wherever he was working to come here because he knew that we could get it to Dominica for him in a shipment that was going or whatever. And he didn't ask for praise. He didn't want anybody to know that he was doing it. He just handed it over and he left. And there are people doing that kind of thing every single day. We just don't know who they are and we don't shout about it, and neither do they. But in my interactions with people, I get to meet awesome people and hear awesome stories, and that kind of drives me. So where I was shy before, I kind of push forward now because you find these gems, you know? You find these gems when you just kind of interact with people and you open yourself to them and experiencing love with them.
You talk about, you know, when doors are open, walk through them. A lot of the people that I have interacted with in my life, they have 1,000,001 dreams and ideas. And in theory, more dreams and ideas that they can fit in until they reach 200 years old or 24 hours in a day. And how would you really encourage someone to prioritize their dreams and how to fit in all these things that they have? This is really, really challenging. Everybody has 1,000,001 wants and wishes.
Andrew, that's good. That's a good one. Wow. Okay. That's a good one. So there's something I heard this week. It's called the Snare of Preparation, right? Where you remain in preparation mode for a really long time because things are never going to be perfect, you know? So start by starting, right? Take an action. Take one step on the journey of 1,000 miles. Take a step. So you have these dreams and these ideas, and trust me, I know exactly what you're talking about. I am constantly bombarded with ideas of what I should be doing, what I'm not doing. And sometimes it overwhelms me. But then I quiet myself and I ask God, I say, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to say? Before I got on here with you guys, I said, what do you want me to say? Right? And answers come when we quiet ourselves and when we listen. And when we don't get in our own way and believe that we are our own boss. Right? And one by one, doors will open, opportunities will come when you take the right steps in the right direction. And that sounds scary, but it is really quite simple. And I could give you an example if you want from my own.
Please do.
Many examples.
That's why we're here. Please do.
I can give you many examples from my own life. Like recently, right? I have been writing a lot about my own personal stories, things that I've been through, things that I've lived, things that are just sometimes funny and entertaining. I've been writing a lot, you know, and I've been thinking, what am I going to do with this? Should I be doing anything with this? And just 2 days ago, I was in a course that I'm doing related to my work. And they asked us to share in the course in 2 minutes a story of self, right? And because I had been writing all of the while, you know, and compiling my ideas, it was there. It was kind of there ready for me to share it. And so I did. And when I was done sharing, and I say this with all humility, when I was done sharing, there was silence for about 30 seconds. And then the professor said, wow, I would like to have that, what you just shared, that video for teaching purposes. And they've asked me if they could use the video for teaching purposes. And I afterward had a conversation with the professor and I told him, you know, I was questioning what I should do with my story. And I got validation from you and from the class today that it's something I should be sharing. And so that was just one example of God coming through quick, you know, what should I be doing with this? And almost 2 days later, he says to me, you should share it. You know, and he gives me an opportunity to share it. So to answer your question, Andrew, it's just, I think, about focusing on the creator who wrote the manual of our lives.
Wow.
And you said something that was really powerful there. I want to emphasize on this, and if you could add more to this, that'd be great.
Sure.
Quiet yourself.
Yeah.
You know, we have to go into this zone, because if we're trying to understand what's the message when all the messengers are around, it's impossible for us to make that genuine decision. Where if we could go into what I call my creative space, or my place of prayer, or my place of meditation, this allows me to quiet, understand what the message is here, and what is closest to my heart is the message from the Lord. So what that's
there you go. You've
right?
answered the question. You've answered the question perfectly. I mean, for me, it's about understanding that this world is full of noise and it's full of distraction, right? It's also full of joy and happiness. So things come to us, and even more so now with the freedom that information has to get to us on our devices and in the media. So we're constantly being bombarded with information, constantly. And it can be very, very, very distracting. The other source of distraction for me, I think a lot of times, is people's views and ideas, right? And sometimes we get so caught up in what other people think about what we're doing, or who will be critical, or what they will say, that we become distracted and we don't follow through on what we know we've been put on this planet to do. And so that quiet space is not just a physical quiet space, but it's a sort of space in your heart that you preserve for yourself. And sometimes it means not telling people what you're working on.
Could you say that again? Could you say that again? Could you say that again? Oh, no. Andrew, we have to do a double. We have to give her a double. Come on, now, say that again.
Sometimes it means keeping your plans between you and God.
It's
Sometimes
not for everybody.
it means thank you for your advice, but sometimes it means I am not going to go out with you today. I'm not going to go out and hang with you guys today, because sometimes when I get around you, I talk a lot and I end up talking myself out of my dreams. Sometimes it means putting yourself first, you know?
Yeah.
So,
you know, sometimes the closest people around you are the ones who actually don't believe in you. I'm not saying that's the case in everyone's life, but it's really important for us to identify who are the people who will take us forward, and not take us forward all the time. Take us forward in every unique situation.
yes.
Someone will take you forward here greatly, and someone will not take you forward here. So understand who's going to take you in which direction.
You're right. Yeah. And another thing I related to that I have found and talked about quite a bit is the thing about fear, right? So we have our own fears that we deal with. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of people criticizing us. And then there are people who have their own fears. And those fears sometimes manifest as advice. Ooh. So you will say to your friend, Andrew, you'll say, you know, I really think I want to open this business. It's a business venture I want to do. And that friend will think, oh God, what if you fail? What if we fail? That friend, in their minds, right? They may also think, you know, I wanted to do that when I was 25 and I didn't do it. And now he's going to do it. How is that going to make me look? I have to now be measured against him. And so what happens is, you sure you want to do that now? Because you have so many other things on your plate. And when that advice comes from a place of love, we know it. Yes. But when it comes from a place of fear, we question, right? And so I have found that in my life, having people around me who I know love me and who I know want the best for me and who I know that I'm a big dreamer has been really, really useful. And it has meant cutting people off along the way and losing friends along the way.
Wow. And of course that says, you know, there's a difference between friend and acquaintance, because for example, what you do, you would have quite a few acquaintances, but I could imagine in the industry, you have just a few friends. And Golda, I must ask this question. You've left Trinidad, so some people not even aware that you're not in Trinidad. So you've left Trinidad, and we hope sometime that you do return, but of course you're here in our hearts. What moment in your news career and your career as an anchor, is there any, and I'm not talking the moment with Mr. Pan, right? But what moment stands out the most out of your whole entire media career that you will cherish for the rest of your life? And when you're teaching your kids to read, and so you'd always share that story with them. What's that moment that you'll say that moment, I wish I could do this every single day? What's that special moment for you? I know that's a tough one. What stands out to you? Either it stands out or it doesn't.
That is a tough one. That is tough.
And if you call names to them, I say, but Golda didn't say me.
No, because so many points where maybe I can tell you about this one that stood out. And all of them are equal. Like no one is more important than the other because they all kind of teaching you different things. So I'll tell you about this one. I went to it was a weekend that I was working, and the cameraman and I went to cover a fire in Paramin. And it was, when we got there, the whole village was outside and people were gathered and whatever, and the house had been burnt all the way down, right? Burnt to the ground. And we soon learned that a 3-year-old had lost his life in the fire. And I remember seeing that boy's mom and just looking at her and seeing the absolute despair, because it's one thing to lose a relative, but it's another thing to have just lost a relative in a completely avoidable situation, right? And there were different stories about how she tried to get everyone out. He ran back in. It was confusion because there were a few children, other children. And I looked at that lady and I saw absolute despair. And it shook me to my very core because, when you work in the media, you're constantly surrounded by horrific stories, right? Death and children being wounded and scarred. And you're constantly, as a Christian person, saying, Lord, what is that? I am trusting you. Yes, I am trusting you with my life and the lives of the people I love. But what? Why that one? Why? And you literally question why. And my stomach turned and turned and turned. And I went back to the office. And that was one of the nights when I couldn't sleep. I stayed up. I ended up throwing up. It was just not a pretty situation because I think it manifested in me as a full-on anxiety attack, right? And I can't tell you how many months or years it was later. But I remember that lady because I took her in and her despair was etched in my mind. And I was walking through Starlight Diego Martin, probably about a year or two later. And I remember walking through Massey stores in Diego Martin, walking, getting my groceries. And I'm hearing two friends laughing heartily. They get a good joke and they, ha, 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 and they giving each other move along. And people looking at each other like, okay, that joke so sweet. And as I turned down one of the aisles, I saw the lady and she was there and she was laughing with her friend. And the lesson for me there was a big lesson for me, which was that we as human beings sometimes suffer deep despair and hopelessness, but joy can come in the morning. And it has stayed with me, even though you go all the way down. And I know that lady misses her son still. And I know that it's not easy for her. But I also know that from time to time, she has a good belly laugh with her friend.
That is, it's amazing there. Because you used the word when you started, right? Talk about, it's a disadvantage. Somebody said disadvantage, but the truth is, it's not really a disadvantage. It's really an advantage that will materialize later on. So what people see as a disadvantage can be an advantage, like you have experienced for other people later. What we go through to help other people get through stuff is not about us. Yeah. You understand? It's not about us. When people say things are impossible, you can't write down the word impossible without putting possible. Yeah. It's just not possible as yet.
It takes faith. It takes faith. And it takes faith to trust in the moment of the despair that the lesson is going to come, or that the joy is going to come in the morning. It takes faith to make it through that moment. Because, for a lot of people, it could really consume you. And I have felt despair consume me, and you wonder, oh my God, is there going to be a tomorrow? And then there is. And you're able to turn around and tell someone in despair, there's a tomorrow, right? I've seen it. So, I personally believe in, without my faith, I don't know, somebody will just drag the rug from under my feet. Because that's what keeps me going. It does.
So while we have that here, I have a lovely question. So
sure.
What's the next thing on your plan, and how does it align with your purpose?
Fantastic question from Arlene.
So
Fantastic.
there are many things that I'm planning that I can't talk about just yet, but everything that I put my energy into, I believe is aligned with my purpose, or I don't put my energy into it. And sometimes that takes a hard lesson of starting and then realizing that this is not where it's supposed to be. But very soon, I'll be sharing my stories. Very, very soon, Arlene.
Andrew, that's something like a book or two, eh? That's something like a book. I feel it's about Golda Lee somewhere, a book coming somewhere.
Maybe 4 or 5 of them, who knows?
So, you know, you've left Trinidad.
Yeah.
You're home.
For now.
For now.
Yeah.
And you're very loved back home. That's for sure. I can tell you that. And I really have appreciated all that you've given back to the media and all that you've done for Trinidad and Tobago. When I would have seen that you would have walked across in a work capacity in different areas covering different stories around Trinidad and Tobago. You're recognized probably many times during your day, from the time you leave your home to the time you return back. And you have to maintain an image or not. You decide what you want to do.
Yeah.
And people who are seen or public figures are seen as how you operate is what you're going to, and the impact you're going to have. And how have you as a human being been able to manage that? Because you want to live your life and be free and be you, but you also want to play your role and inspire and motivate and guide. But we have to have a life at the same time. We don't have to put on makeup and dress up in a suit every time we leave home.
Yeah.
We are human.
No, you're absolutely
right.
right.
Don't go to bed and wake up.
So I struggled with that for a while, Andrew. I really did. Because, you know, when I came into the media, a news anchor was one thing, right? It was very crisp and very collected. It didn't have wild curly hair, and she didn't laugh very loudly, you know, on the set. There were all sorts of expectations that I put into my own brain, right? Nobody necessarily put them there, but I put them in and then they were reinforced, right? And so I struggled with that for a while. And I came to a turning point when I started to experience depression and anxiety on a level. You know, when I had my first anxiety attack, I was like, wait. Okay. This is what matters. This is what doesn't matter. And my response to that question is, you are who you are. And people relate to authenticity much more than they relate to the effort to be something that you're not. And I found that when I was myself, when I was my authentic self, no matter where I was doing whatever I was doing, people appreciated that. Yes, at first, there are always those people who'll be like, why is she behaving like that? I remember a man wrote me a big, long email one night. He's like, you should not be on air. You make all of these mistakes. You laugh like if you are in the market. And he gave me this big, long email. They should find somebody more qualified to do it and all of that. But the other people, the 99%, were like, all right, we're rolling with this girl. Let's just go. She laughing, we laughing. And it worked. And so I just tell people to be yourself. And I know that the pressure is on, especially for somebody like you. You know, there's so many expectations always. But when you are yourself, when you are that guy that we saw on the sailboat all those years ago for like 2 seconds and then 3 seconds, that to me is just do that one. And everybody else will just have to figure out what they want to do.
And some people might say they don't know how to be themselves.
That's true.
They don't know what to do. What would you tell them? Especially
when you grow up in a home where there's certain expectations of you, it's hard for you to distinguish, you know, is this me or is this something else, you know? I think that here we go back to the faith again. When you see yourself the way that your creator sees you, then you get the full picture. It's like it's like going to an art gallery and seeing a piece hanging on a wall. And when you get the feeling, the exact feeling that that artist put into the piece is when you see beauty.
Wow.
And so when you know that God made you fearfully and wonderfully in a certain way, and you feel that, you're grounded in how your creator made you, no man, no woman, no boy, no girl, nobody can tell you to put a flat iron in your hair.
I hope you saw all the actions you got there, you know what I mean?
It's
And I mean, Golda,
simple.
that speaks to being your authentic self. Anytime you're trying to be anybody else, all your eyes are imitation or fake. Be the best you that you can be. Nobody else can be you. For the guy that sent you the email, he probably looking on and saying, "Well, I wish I'd really like that girl because that girl even like this." You know?
I had a moment of pride and haughtiness because I don't want the world to see the response that I sent to him, right? I don't want the world to see it. But I basically outlined all of my qualifications, and I said, and the closing sentence was something like, "I dare you to find someone more qualified." And I stepped away, dropped mine. But he responded. And his response was, "Okay, well, I wish you all the best." And then we kind of struck up a relationship, right? And that was another lesson. So we struck up a kind of relationship. And I found that, sometimes people are triggered by what we do, and we don't know all of the backstory, right? So it may have been that he had aspired to a media career and that didn't work out. And so seeing me basically playing the fool on the set triggered him. And it wasn't until we had a conversation that we could get to who we really were. And, that means not taking offense when somebody is, jabbing at you, because you don't know why they're doing it. You don't know. And it could be that they're just being triggered. I don't know.
And even if you're distancing yourself from the situation, you're still acting from a place of love.
Yeah.
Not hurt. If you add fire to fire, the fire will only get bigger. If you have conflict, you add resolution, and resolution to me is love. If you add conflict and conflict, it's just war.
Yeah. So it takes emotional fortitude to do it, to really to not take offense. I'm still struggling with that, because I often wonder whenever things don't, like when a person is a certain way towards me, I'm like, why are you treating me like this? I didn't do anything to you. I haven't done anything. But it's hard for me to kind of move past it sometimes and not take offense. I really struggle with that. And this is me sharing big here. But when you're able to get past the offense, you meet people, and people just like you who want to be loved, who want attention, who want to be recognized. And we're all very much the same,
Yeah, I'm reading a comment here, Golda, and it talks about Let us say, listening to you, Golda, I hear your faith coming true. Those early years when Granny had you read the Word of God helped your reading ability, but it established the Word in you and helped form you through faith, and the blessings flowed from there. I can imagine your Granny, and this is going to be a real tough one, Golda. God made it possible now for you to see Granny. What would you say to Granny?
Ooh!
I'll give you a tough one. Let me give you a tough one, Golda. Because in the media, you have to put you on the spot, eh? In the media, they put you on the spot all the time. For example, when they have a clip and the clip don't run, and you have to keep talking, right? So I'm putting you on the spot. What would you say to Granny? Because your Granny has definitely been instrumental in your... I'm loving your Granny, and I love your Granny.
No, she has. And you would have loved her had you known her. She transcended ages and races and everything. Like, I would come home and find 20-something-year-old men from the church sitting down by my Granny for counsel, and she's like 90, and I'm like, why are they here? But I would say to her, I would say thank you. I would say I love you and thank you, and we are okay.
Wow. I know that put you on the spot.
It did, because I just, when I think about, she had a huge influence in my life, and sometimes when I think about the things that she did for me without even knowing that she did them, but just as love and kindness, it makes me emotional, and her example has been really, really awesome.
And we hear all our lives, we hear a lot of things repeated, work hard, try your best. A lot of things are repeated all the times, and they are repeated so many times, they become not as powerful words, as something we hear over and over, so we don't really take it on. Instead of realizing them as, one thing has happened to me that was very powerful is I've been learning to live in the moment. Being able to stay in the moment is one of the most powerful things, especially of an athlete. Imagine you could be in the middle of a race and there'll be a little distraction that could throw off your whole race. It could cost you a medal. But if you're able to stay in the moment more than anyone else and remove the noise, you will be more successful. And for me, as a human being, I always fought the noise. I would always say, get out of me, leave me alone. I'm focusing here, leave me alone. I'm trying to do my thing. And I didn't realize that I was fueling an anger to the noise. Instead of saying, hey, how you going, noise? You good? Have a nice day, man. You continue on your way. And receiving it with love. And a lot of time we experience a lot of things. For example, if I'm driving my car, you will almost never hear me touch the car horn. Never. I don't use the car horn. I believe the car horn is a negative thing. When you beep someone on traffic, like go, or those kind of things. No. If we're able to control those things and live in the moment in a positive way, it could be very, very powerful. So how have you been able to stay in the moment in a positive way?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to try to answer your question, but just to say that I don't envy people in sports, athletes. I don't envy you because, I mean, we live our lives and we could hide our sadness and our failures and our wins and our losses, but you guys are out there, and that to me is crazy, right? But for me, I feel like the more that I kind of mature in faith and just knowing myself more, I'm able to kind of identify within myself the situations that I'm in, right? So before I would, meet someone who's an obstacle or, who's just not aligned with me, and I would take offense and how are we going to get past this? And I would stress and I would worry and I would try to act on it and try to change their mind and now I just kind of like, God, take so-and-so in the palm of your hand and just deal with that for me. So over time, I find that I'm getting more and more, I'm getting better at not being as reactive and not being as noisy, and that's good. That's good for me. But I still encounter a lot of challenges from time to time, and I'll leave it there, as we all do. But then afterward, I'm sort of able to take stock and say, okay, did I do this right? Did I do this wrong? And a big thing for me is that I say sorry a lot. I apologize.
Wow.
I apologize a lot. I tell people every day I apologize, mostly 3-4 times. For things I do, for things I didn't do. I go in with it. I'm sorry that happened.
Love. It's love.
Yeah.
Wow, definitely.
And, as we're wrapping up here, but I think we really started this show with one purpose, and it was to create positivity. But we created this platform, thanks to the Public Bank, to be able to create positivity during the COVID-19. During this thing where so many people, or the world is in such of a worse situation. I hear people say 2020 needs to go away. And I think it actually needs to be here. It needs to be here more than ever. We see how the world is evolving right now. We see the major, amazing changes happening in the world right now. And it forced us to wake up, learn, and live. What would you take away from COVID-19? And what would you share to others who are going through the pandemic in a rough time?
Couple things. First of all, it teaches us that we are not in control. We don't know what changes will come about. As much as we like to believe that we are in control of our lives and what happens in the world, and we feel like we're at the reins, we're not. And that was very, very clear to me. Another thing that is clear is, how important family is, how important these people around me are. And I see my children getting bigger, growing older every day, and I'm just like, wow, time flies by so fast, and we really need to appreciate the people around us. And then the other thing is that I saw a lot of people talking about, you know, just like you, 2020 needs to go away, cancel 2020. And I believe that it is possible to have triumph out of defeat, you know, to have victory out of defeat. And this feels like defeat, but there is victory in it. And so I am just waiting on the good Lord to say to me, this is the seed that was planted during COVID. You know, here is the fruit.
Well, I can tell you that one of the seeds are and the fruits are right now is you being on this show. This show is humongous having you here. He planted a seed for you to be able to be available, and you are seeing the fruit. The comments that we are seeing about you, the fruit has been served. Peeled and served. People are eating right now, and that is one seed I can tell you for sure the Lord has sent for you, and you can check that one off your list and continue to reap all the other benefits coming your way.
Thank you so much, both of you, for this platform. I mean, what you guys are doing is amazing, and I know that many people appreciate it. I certainly do. So keep going. I bless this thing that you're doing, and I hope that all of the seeds that are planted here, we'll see the fruit in due course. To God be the glory for everything.
Everything. Yeah, even before you go, Golda, the fruit is already coming through. You know, the seeds are planted and the fruit is coming through. And what I gather from you, the more you read, the more you know, the more places you go. Okay?
Yes.
Right? So that's just courtesy to Dr. Seuss. The more you read, the more you know, the more places you go. And Golda, your segment, this is number 7 out of 16. We have program 8, and what I gather from your story is be approachable all the time. And that's what you are. That's why the response to you, Golda, just your name. I mean, there are also journalists on this. Andrew, I'm saying the name, if I'm not mistaken, Hema Ramkisoon is on as well on the chat. So just your name, right, has attracted fellow journalists just to come and say hi. I mean, folks, you can type Golda Lee a comment. If you type her a comment now, I will get the chat after and send the comments to Golda Lee. Send her some love. But Golda Lee, we really want to thank you for the time that you stayed with us. And you see that thing about your authentic self? I'm seeing people typing, be yourself. And that's why the guy eventually, the guy with the email eventually liked you. Because you are just yourself. That's who you are. No, nobody's perfect. None of us are. But we have a perfect God, and we can actually get through any situation. I'm just going to say very quickly our next topic, and here, nice, Golda Lee, it leads from you. Our next topic is called building bridges, not walls.
Amen.
Building bridges, not walls. And that's what you would have been doing all your life, Golda Lee, making bridges. Even for the lady in Pyramid, making a bridge later on. Yeah, she's going to smile later on. Still missing her son, and she would. So we want to thank you. Words can't express. Let me just tell you. I know we talk about literacy in this, but words can't really say thank you. And Golda Lee, Andrew, we just go in a minute. Golda Lee, there are quite a number of young adults who are on. I just want you to take a couple seconds, a couple of minutes even, and just say something special as a reward to all the young people who intend to stick it through even after your story. Say something to our young audience, please.
I would be happy to do that. I'm always very happy to share with young people. Up until about 2 years ago, I didn't know why I was on the planet. I had a very good job and I was comfortable and secure in that position. And it was something that I was very, very good at, but I'm not sure if it was my purpose. I believe that it was a springboard to my purpose. And wherever you are, there is a seed inside of you that your Creator has planted there. And it's a seed of purpose. And sometimes you get a hint of where you should be, what you should be doing, but it seems so big and so scary and so much bigger than you that you don't want to even acknowledge it sometimes. My call to you today is to acknowledge it and to take a step. Start by starting. Move in the direction of your purpose, because that's why you're here.
Andrew, you have to get a wow.
This is why we do what we do.
Yeah, this is positive moment is all about, and this is really been a positive moment, Golda Lee. And we want to tell you, God bless you continually, you and your family. for the positivity that you, his inspiration that you're using around the world, not just here. I mean, we couldn't keep you. We hope you come back. But Tran could, you know, the world is a big place. I mean, we know the universe is waiting on us outside here. So Golda Lee, you through your trial, you are making a trail for others to follow, and you have 2 people who following you here, telling you, okay, we following, you know, yeah, we follow Christ, yeah, but I tell you, we following what you're doing. Continue to be an inspiration, Golda Lee. Just be your authentic self. We don't worry about you. Be your authentic self. And by the way, we have some pie to get. Andrea, Golda Lee was baking before she came on. We have some pie to get. We didn't talk about the next episode, Golda Lee and the baking. But you know.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you and love you very much. Thank you.
Pleasure. I just want to say one last thing before you go.
Sure.
I could not be more grateful for every second of the life that I have known you for, and every second that you've spent on this show here. I mean it from my heart. Something about this show is now my favorite, and I've even told my own story on this show. And this program continues to get better and better. My goal on this planet is to help people. This is why I do what I do in my little small boat of sailing around the world. And I believe that the 3 of us here have a lot of that inside of us. And that is why we've decided to do this right now. And I don't believe we have control of this. The boss man above put us here today to do this. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I know Don will say one or two words before you go, but thank you so much. Have a blessed day with your little ones, and keep safe in the US.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah. And Andrew, I'm just going to use her name. You see that Golda, and it's gold and it's A, and it's a golden attitude. It's really a gold attitude that she has for life. And then Golda Lee, don't lose that at all. That gold attitude turned into a gold ability, and now we're giving you a gold appreciation, because we couldn't do this without you, Golda. This is really fantastic. This is what Positive Moments is all about. Session number 8 will be building bridges, not walls. And let me tell you, you've made a bridge for us, Golda Lee, to walk over. You know, Andrew and I, we're in this together, and we have such a wonderful love for each other and a respect for each other. And that's what you bring to the table as well, Golda Lee. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Okay, goodbye, Golda.
Bye. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody, that was a fantastic, and we want to stay with you all for a little minute or two before we go to tell all of you all thank you so much for the amazing comments, the questions. Send us some feedback on what your thoughts about that. Don, tell me before we go.
Yeah, you know where we go from here, because we have building bridges, not walls next, and then following that next Saturday, which is Saturday, June the 13th, we have Don't say it as yet. Don't say it as yet. I say it already. You know, but we have some wonderful folks who share with us, and Angela will be sharing, talking a lot about relationships, building bridges, not walls. Okay, for our next session, which is on Wednesday, June the 10th. Wednesday, June 10th. We're looking forward to have all of you on here. And next time I will not let it cut out of the bag. I'll wait till the next 8 and then say 9. But it's just so much excitement, Andrew, going on and Positive Moments with Andrew and Don. Email us, Andrew and Don Live @gmail. And we'll also send everybody on. We're going to send you the YouTube of today, probably a little later in the morning. Andrew is 5 hours ahead in Spain, but we're going to send you this. Say a little prayer for Andrew to come home quickly too. You know, say a little prayer that Andrew is going to get the borders open for him to come in very, very, very quickly.
So remember, one last reminder, every Wednesday and every Saturday at 4 p.m., tell your friends, tell your non-friends, promote it however you want. This is for positivity and love. Spread the word. God bless you all. Don, show is yours to close.
Yeah, so it's hard to say goodbye. We cannot tell a lie. Okay? It's hard to say goodbye. We cannot tell a lie. And let me just tell you, we're not staying grounded. We're reaching up to the eagle up in the sky. That's why you see the eagle behind me today. It's a reminder to soar in spite of whatever situation. The same thing Golda Lee had to do. I want you to sow in spite of. So from Andrew and I, we want to say thank you again. We want to say a special thank you to Republic Bank for making this possible. And we here again, positive moments ain't going anywhere, right? You're just coming back again.
God bless. Have a good night.
God bless you all. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for being with us. Thank you all.
Amen.